Hi, and welcome to this lecture on tuples. In this lecture, we're going to learn about what tuples are. We're going to look at creating, accessing, updating them, but also unpacking, looping through them, joining tuples, and the built-in methods that come with tuples, and some common errors that you'll probably run into. Okay, if you haven't already, let's open up our little script editor, okay, by going into panels, okay, and all the way down to open up script editor. And also, you can just shut your channel box as well, just to give us a bit of extra space on the window. Okay, so what are tuples? Let's start with the basics. A tuple is an ordered, immutable collection of elements. So very much like a list, okay, it can have multiple elements of the same type and of being the exact same value. Okay, this means that a tuple, but being immutable, once a tuple is created, its contents and order cannot be changed. Okay, so tuples are defined using parentheses, and with each element, they're separated by a comma. So just like creating a list. Okay, let's have a look at creating our first tuple. Okay, so open up parentheses. 1, 2, 3. So I've got a Boolean, a string, and some integers here. Okay, let's execute this command by highlighting and pressing Control and Enter. Oh, and sorry if I didn't say already, we should make sure your line numbers in errors is ticked on, and your show stack trace is also ticked on. Okay, so we've executed our command here. Okay, and we have assigned this tuple to the variable myTuple. The result is, yeah, we've got a tuple here. Brilliant. So, immutable. What does it mean when we say immutable? Okay, like we can change lists. We understand we can do anything we wanted to them. In the last one, we can update, append, remove, change individual items because they're mutable. Okay, so that means you can. The way that I kind of look at mutability is that you can mute something. You can turn it on or off. Okay, if it's immutable, okay, you cannot turn it on or off. You cannot change something. So these are immutable. You cannot turn off the volume. You cannot turn them on or off. That's the way I think about it. Okay, so the key features are that these are unchangeable, but these do allow duplicates. So they're very similar to lists in that respect. Okay. All right. So there we go. Let's look at a few more methods and a few more ways that we can create some tuples. Okay. So in this, so we've just actually created a tuple. Let's use this methodology again. So we've created our tuple here, myTuple. Okay. And in this example, myTuple is a tuple with 5 elements. We've got the integers 1, 2, and 3, the string hello, the Boolean value true. Okay. Tuples can also be created using the tuple function. Sorry, tuple and tuple, I always kind of seem to jump between these, but both are right. There's just one's American, one's English. And I've listened to so many American tutorials and probably heard this saying tuple so many times that it's become a bit second nature also with me. But okay, but you can use the tuple function, as I was saying, like the list function, and any list can be converted into a tuple. So if we create, let's change this around a little bit, or actually no, let's create my list. We're going to now use the square brackets. Okay, so we've now got a list. Okay, so this is mutable, and you can have multiple elements in this. Got a lot of built-in functionality, as we've already seen in the last lecture. But let's say we want it to be immutable. We want this to be a tuple. Okay, what we can do is say, we'll go with myTuple. Okay, and it equals tuple open parentheses my list. So we'll see what this does here. Let's just execute everything. And you see the result is that we have changed this list into a tuple. So even in the same way, if you added it this way and just did square brackets, put a list within the tuple function, you're going to essentially create this and turn this into a tuple because it's an iterable object. Okay, you can iterate through this, and any iterable object you can add into a tuple function and create a tuple from it. Okay, so tuples are indexed in pretty much the same way that that lists are. So that's something that you can again use all the information that you gathered and learned from the last lesson. But let's have a quick little look at that again in a bit more detail. Okay, we'll actually go back to just using my tuple. Okay. So if we want to use an index number to refer to a specific point within our tuple, we just have to open square brackets as we did with lists, execute, and you see we get the third item. So 0, 1, 2, and 3, which is hello, and it'll print that out. So my tuple index 3, it prints that out. Okay, getting the last item is again very much the same as lists. Okay, we use negative indexing, so -1. So we got this is the first item, seeing 0 at index number, so 0. We go back, we go to -1, go through. Oh, I've got the, don't know how I added hello in there. Let's take that out. So we've got true. Okay. All right, so checking if an item is within your tuple. Again, very similar. We should add our condition. Hello. Let's copy the variable name. Okay. Yes, hello is in this tuple. Okay, you see it is there. All right. So we've got a printout. Okay, we would not see this printout if this had not executed as true. Okay, hello is in my tuple. Okay, see the result is true within this expression. So the condition has passed. So the if condition has read this expression as true and therefore printed out, yes, hello is in this tuple. Okay, simple. Okay, we can do things like looking through the range of our tuple. So we use again a colon, and then we can go from the 3rd position to the 6th position. And so we will get from the 3rd position, okay, and the 4th position here, because we have no 5th and 6th. It will not error, but it just won't provide anything. So we could put this as 600. Again, very similar to lists, but we'll just get the items within this range that we're searching for. Okay, we can search via negative indexing as well. Okay, and that will give us just a hello section. So we've gone from -1, okay, from the 3rd position to -1, so which gives us this hello in the middle. We can go from 1, giving us from the 1st position to the last but 1 position. Okay, so very simple. Okay, negative indexing is supported, and so is regular indexing, as we are coming to learn it from strings and lists. Okay. All right, so very straightforward. You can step through tuples in much the same way as you do with strings or with list types by adding brackets at the end of the tuple and setting the beginning and the end and the iteration value. So there we go. We're going to step through these as in 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. We're not going to jump every second one. We're just going to step through them as normal. And look, it gives us the exact same. Okay. But again, we can give the defaults for these. So again, we're going to go from the beginning to the end, but we're now going to iterate backwards. Okay, and we get true. Hello, 3, 2, 1. So we're iterating backwards now. Or we can go with every second item. So 1, 3, true. Okay, so iteration, again, everything is very, very similar to what we're used to seeing within Python. Okay, this won't change between different types to confuse you. This is basically structured and set, nice and easy. So it will just be 1. So you can also use variable names within here just for readability. I'd probably recommend putting a space in there. Okay, so we've got my tuple. We've got all of our values. Let's execute and enter these. Okay, and then we get the result. 2, 3, hello. Okay, so again, very straightforward. Okay, updating. Now, we've already talked about tuples being immutable, so we cannot change their values, but we can do a little bit of a hack to change them. All you've got to do is change them into a list type, update the list, and then change them back to a tuple if the requirement is that you end with a tuple. Okay, obviously, if a list works better and you need to continually change whatever you're working with, use a list. There's very few scenarios where I have to use a tuple. Okay, so I don't actually use them too much. Okay, I use lists because they're much more flexible. Obviously, that flexibility might not be required by you, and you may have certain stipulations where you may not want a string to be changed, or you may not want, a list, your group of items to have any changes occur to them between any functions. So that's where a tuple might be better. But most of the time, obviously, with what we're doing within Maya, within Python, we don't really mind about that, okay? The flexibility is what we actually are looking for. So let's have a look at changing them then. So let's go back to the my tuple, okay? Let's change this into a list. And go list function, okay? My tuple. So we've started off with the tuple, and we have now taken our tuple and we've put it and encapsulated it within the list functionality, open parentheses. Okay, so what this has given us is a list with the exact same values entered within it. Okay, so now what we can do is we can go my list. And we'll change number 3, and we'll make that 4. So index item at 3, so 0, 1, 2, 3. We're going to change this index item to being 4. So now if we look at my list, we have now got 1, 2, 3, 4, true. See, hello has changed to now being 4. Okay, and so to get our tuple back, we go my tuple equals tuple my list. So select all, so Control A, and then Control Enter. We have run all of our code here. And the result is that we've got a tuple which has 1, 2, 3, 4 and true. So it's a bit of a hack. Obviously, in most scenarios where you'd need to be doing this, I'd probably recommend you just use a list. But, there's always exceptions to the rules. So flexibility and having the knowledge is always better than not. Let's go with that. So adding to the end of a tuple, so it would be done in very much a similar way. So we're going to start with our tuple. We'll change it to a list. Okay, and then we could even just use another list functionality. We could go append. Essentially, you're going to be able to use any functionality from lists now because you've changed it into a list. So there's no real limit for you. So we could go in, what do we go? We'll go for world, okay? Let's go for this. So now we've appended, we've added to the end of the list. I'll go 1, 2, 3, hello, true, world. So very straightforward. So updating, again, you can refer back to lists once you've done the conversion. Okay, and then you can use any functionality, append, extend. Okay, you can change any index point, any index range. Okay, and then change back to a tuple. All right, so that's the flexibility that we can get with Python. Very easily are we given the ability to do whatever we need with data types. Okay, so let's have a little look at unpacking. Unpacking is the methodology that we looked at back in Python lists. Okay, it allows us to extract a list or a tuple of known length into variables. So let's have a look at what that means. Let's give ourselves some vehicles. Let's create our tuple. So opening parentheses, not curly brackets, that is a dictionary. Okay, let's go with car. Methods of transport, bike. And van. Okay. So these are our vehicles. Car, bike, van. Okay, it's a tuple. Okay, now what we can do can actually extract, say, these items into some variables. So let's remove these quotations, and you see now we are ready for assignment, essentially, of vehicles to these 3 variables. Okay. And now we have car, bike, which is standing for bike, van. Okay. So we have unpacked essentially all our vehicles into these 3 variables. Okay. Because we knew there'd be 3, we can unpack to 3. Okay. It's very straightforward. If you always know your length of your pass list, then you can unpack like this. If you're unsure of the length, then it's probably going to be one item which refers to a single string, and then maybe another item that refers to the rest of the list or the rest of the tuple. Okay. All right. Nice and straightforward. That was unpacking. We're now going to look at looping. So we can use a loop again in the same way that we do with list to loop through our contents of a tuple. So let's bring back our vehicles. Accidentally must have pressed enter. Okay, let's clear our output window. So vehicles. So all we have to do is type in our for loop again. We haven't got into loops fully yet, but chicken and egg situation with all of these data types. We're going to come back. We're going to go through more advanced methodologies as we go forward. So don't worry if this looks a bit confusing now. So let's say for vehicle in vehicles. We're going to print vehicle. So this variable can be anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Okay, we are just saying for the item within this list or tuple. Okay, so is our tuple here, car, bike, van. We're saying for the item within this tuple, print that item in order, and we get car, bike, van. Very straightforward. We can also loop through the tuple items by referring to their index number. So we could use the range and the length functions to create a suitable iterable item. So let's print all the items referring to them by their index number. So let's go for I, which stands for iterable. You'll see a lot of for I ins because I is always just standing for the iterable number. Okay, I'd say that you use I when you're iterating in this way because it stands for, like I said, iterable. Okay, otherwise you'd probably just use a much more easy to read name like we did before with vehicle, because we know we're unpacking vehicles or looping through vehicles. So we're going to unpack them to being in that name, which is a bit more clear to read. Okay. Typing has gone off a bit tonight. Sorry, guys. So vehicles. Okay, we've got our tuple. Let's enter. And now we're going to go through our list. Okay, and we're going to go through the range with the length of vehicles. The length of our vehicles list, sorry, the length of our vehicles tuple is 3. Okay, so this is going to give us an iterable, okay, with a range of 0 to 3. So let's print and see what happens here. What do we get? We get 0, 1, 2. So that is the range that we have just requested to print. But now if we want to print the vehicle, let's go for vehicles. We open up our square brackets using indexing like we have before. And I is an integer, so it will essentially print out whichever item is at that index. Okay, pretty straightforward, just using the indexing we looked at before. So very nice and easy. Okay, that is looping through our tuples. Let's have a look at now joining them. So to join 2 or more tuples together, you can use the plus operator. So nice and easy. Let's go for tuple 1 equals the agony of choice. Let's go for A. B. C. Okay. And then we will go for 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. So now to make tuple list 3, all we have to do is tuple 1 plus tuple 2. Obviously, remember, that would have been come out as a syntax error because we have a space. Can't use a space. Let's do that. Let's see. Syntax error. Yeah, what have we done? Okay, Python can't read this. It doesn't mean anything. Okay, so let's put that back and let's see what has happened. So tuple 3 is tuple 1 plus tuple 2. It is literally just given us a tuple with all the first items and the second items encapsulated and created into one, okay, tuple. Nice and straightforward. Okay, that is joining tuples. But what we can do, we can also multiply tuples. So let's go back to our vehicles. Let's clear our output. Okay. Clear our output window. Okay, we could go, let's see, my tuples equals vehicles. Times, let's live on the edge. Let's go by 2, hey? Okay, and we get my tuples equals car, bike, van, car, bike, van. Okay, we've essentially just doubled our list, tripled it now. Okay, very straightforward. Okay, and very useful in certain scenarios where you need a list structure that has so many items, okay, within it to iterate through to be assigned to so many variables or unpacked within a loop. Okay, so this will have its scenarios that you'll need it for in the future. Okay, now let's look at the built-in methods. This should be relatively quick because there's not many. Okay, that's one of the reasons you'll probably not use tuples either, is that it, unlike lists, you do not have very many built-in methods. With lists, obviously you have quite a few. You can extend, you can append, you can change index items, you can change index ranges, you can do so much, but all you can really do with tuples is count or index. So okay, let's have a little look at the first. So let's go vehicles.count. Let's have a look at what we're looking at. Let's go back to bringing in what we're looking at as well. Sorry. Okay, so let's count how many cars are in my tuple. Let's do this, okay? So remember, we've got to have 2 of everything, essentially, from this list. So let's have a little look and see what we get. 2, okay. So we have counted how many cars are on. We've times them by 2, so we know we get 2 cars now. We can count that, and we know we get 2 cars. So nice, simple little output there. Okay, we can also index and say, okay, well, where is car? Okay, where is that within my tuple? What index can we expect to find the car at? Well, it's at 0, the first iteration anyway, which then allows us to kind of, within a script, if we needed to, we could say car index, and then we could say my tuple, open square brackets, and go car index, which would give us, oh, sorry, I haven't assigned this. So name error, meaning we haven't assigned it. So car index is here. My tuple. Oof, what am I doing? So let's have a look here. Oh, here we go. I've got open brackets, open error. Here we go. So let's try and assign this again. So car index is 0. We've got my tuple. And we've got car, because we found the index, we know where it is, and then within tuple, we're saying we're going to grab the first car at the index 0, which is here. Okay, nice and straightforward, nice and easy. Okay, let's have a look at common errors now. Okay, and again, most of the common errors I'd say were within misuse. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so most common errors I probably see are definitely using list methods on a tuple. Okay, easily done. You've just got to remember that tuples are immutable. Okay, they cannot be muted, so they cannot be changed. Okay, that's the best way to think about it. Lists are mutable, so they can be muted, they can be changed, updated, anything can happen to them. Okay, so trying to update a tuple. Okay, if you pick an index item and then, like with lists, you go the index. Okay, so let's go tuple 1, 0, 2 equals 54. You can't do that. You cannot change individual items. If this was list 1, okay, because if it's a list, okay, I'm assuming you've assigned a list to this variable, you can change that item, okay, if it exists. Okay, all right. So In this video, we have learned about what tuples are, creating, accessing, updating, unpacking, and looping through them, joining tuples, and we've looked at the built-in methods. And we've also looked at a few common errors, of which this section will get a lot longer as we go through to the more difficult practices. But yeah, that's everything to do with tuples. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and I hope and I look forward to seeing you on our next video.